Hi guys, it's Kylie. I start every single video off apologizing for not having been very present or producing a lot of content, but like every time I feel as though my life is going to turn a corner and slow down, I just get slammed, and right now there's really no signs of anything slowing until after Klexicon. That's the first week in April, where I am a panelist. So I'll keep you posted. Basically, once everything turns a corner for me and things do calm down, I can explain to you what's been going on, but that's just not something I want to get into right now. Anyway, I did want to answer a bunch of asks that I got on my Tumblr, GoT Gifts and Musings, because, you know, I've been meaning to, like, answer a bunch of them and write them down, and it's just the days go by, I don't get anything done. Right now, my sister and my niece are actually out to lunch, so I finally get to record when I can make noise and there's not a sleeping baby or a crying baby. Not that I mind her, but I also don't know how long I have to record this video until they're back, which is why I'm coming to you just hopping out of the shower. So I pulled about, 12 asks, and we're going to see how many we can get through. So the first ask is from Anonymous. Just, can I hear about the next retrospective for season 7? Thanks. And yes, you can. We were originally going to do Deadboard, Johnny and Deadpan's great romance, but I think Julie and I, after like the grim fucking horribleness that was the Winter Hell plotline, we just wanted some levity. So we wanted to do Cherry Bomb, which is Cheryl and Larry, or Cersei and Jaime's romance. It just cracks us up, especially like the breakup being so completely arbitrary and kind of inconsequential compared to like everything else that's been going on. So we thought we'd have fun with it, and I guess we are. Anyway, in terms of timing, she and I are actually recording that podcast tomorrow, which means that we're then going to start the writing process, the next couple of weeks, and it should be out the last week of March. If it's not, we're in a little bit of trouble. So, yep, that's what's coming down the pipeline. It's Cherry Bomb. I think I want to name part 1 just Hello World. Next, Anonymous said, you've mentioned a few times that you and Julie, correct me if I've mixed the two of you up. You haven't. I am Kylie. However, she is Julia. Julie is our Algalmation, and it's what we name our fusion. And for some reason, Julie Gristle White from the wonderful parody Burning Love is our avatar. Generally, you don't get into a lot of speculation and predictions that other blogs engage in when it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire. I'm curious, though, since people like Poorquentyn and Turtle Paste, whom you seem acquainted with, do engage in that sort of thing, how much attention do you pay to other blogs when they get into that zone? I have a lot of great respect for Poorquentyn, Turtle Paste, Queen Allie, Joanna Lannister, Lyanna S. Really, all the meta writers on Tumblr, I think people do a fantastic job of it, and I don't begrudge anyone who does engage through speculation. It's just, it stresses me out, not because, like, I think, oh no, if I'm wrong, that's so bad. It's more just, like, I don't want to assume what story Martin's telling. I engage with the story that we have and what I think he's going for, but when it's still unfinished, I feel like, just in my opinion, it becomes a little bit hubristic to be like, oh, well, this is certainly where he's going with this arc. But that's my own thing. I don't think they're conceited or anything like this for speculating. I think they're just a little more confident in saying, yeah, this reading it would lend itself to this. And, even in Turtle Paste and Poorquentyn's speculations and all the others, they're never like, this is definitely going to happen. They're, even Poorquentyn's Eldritch Abomination theory about Euron, he's not like, this is 100% going to happen. He's just like, hey, here are the seeds, and here's why I think this, and this would be really interesting. So I pay attention to what they say. All the Arion Aegon speculators really stress me out because I just don't get it. I will never get that bit of speculation, but okay, that's a thing that exists, and I just gotta deal with it. We pop in the biggest bottles when Arion and Aegon happens in Winds of Winter, right? But yeah, it's all good, and really, however it's fun for you and fulfilling for you to engage with Song of Ice and Fire is what you should do, right? And for me, it's just themes and character arcs. Hey Kylie, sorry to harry on about Ben Solo, but I mentioned in a lot of fan dialogue, keeps coming back to a supposed battle to strip him of agency. or burden, it got me wondering, does a lot of that disagreement come from taking what's said and implied about him more seriously than what he actually does? Because everything he does is shockingly selfish, and his mistreatment of everyone weaker than himself is kind of hard to overlook no matter where he comes from. Yeah, so just for context, I've been getting a lot of asks about Kylo Ren, and a lot of it was like, oh, he was abused, therefore, like, he was invaded by Snoke since he was a fetus, which is not really the case. And that's why he does all these bad things, and it's really a tragic tale, and we shouldn't blame him for what he does. And I'm strawmanning a little bit. There's more nuance to the argument than that. I think we can say that Snoke had an influence on Kylo. We can look at it vaguely like grooming, but there's, even reading Bloodlines, there's not evidence that it's particularly direct so much as it is just like tempting a Jedi in the way that every single Jedi has been tempted by the dark side. You can look at it like Palpatine and Anakin, for instance. Anakin's certainly not blameless for being like, oh, I'm going to kill younglings now. It's just Palpatine made the path towards the dark side attractive. I can't believe I'm taking the prequel seriously right now. But yeah, so I was just getting a lot of apologism. Like, I want to hit back, especially because you've got a character like Finn, who is just such an important counterweight to Kylo. Finn was literally brainwashed and conditioned to be, a First Order soldier, and he managed to break that. He managed to push towards healing. There's even a deleted scene where it looks like he turned a couple of stormtroopers, or was about to, which should have been in the movie. I can't believe that. But I guess the point is that, like, Star Wars is a franchise that is heavily about the power of choice and what you choose. Like, you make your own destiny in a way. That's why we have the temptation of the dark side for the light side. Even if the dark side is more seductive and easier, what makes our heroes heroic is choosing light, or in Rey's case, kind of being able to straddle both in a very cool and unique way. So in terms of, does that come to taking what he said and implied more seriously than what he's done, in that kind of Trumpian, what his supporters took him seriously but not literally, his detractors took him literally but not seriously, that kind of thing? I think it's more just people are engaged with him as a character, and they either are really bought into this redemption arc, or they're bought into a romance with him and Rey for reasons that I can't understand. Aesthetics, Beauty and the Beast, I don't know. I don't get it. So I think it's just that they want to have this be a story about someone struggling with the effect of abuse and overcoming it. I don't know how they reconcile Finn's plot line against that, though. Or Rey. I mean, like, Rey was abandoned, and the evidence is that she was at least a slave for a little bit, and then I guess was freed, or I don't know how that worked on Jakku, but she was a poor scavenger who was abandoned, and she's not a fascist, and Finn's not a fascist, so, but I'm definitely more on your side, Anon, where I think we have to look at actions and what he's done and why that's really serious. I mean, this is a dude who killed his own dad, like, that's telling. Anonymous said, season 8 prediction, they're going to find out they had nothing to use for Sansa's story, and they'll make her retroactively pregnant with Ramsay's child. So I began to write out an answer to this where I was like, no, they definitely won't do this. But then I was like, I don't think they're going to do this. I actually don't think they're going to do this. But I could see them doing this, where they are like, well, what else do we do for Sansa? And we have to burn 8 hours here because, basically they have two things left to write. They have a battle with the undead and a battle with the Lannister forces. That's all that's left. So if they have to wheel spin, especially with a character like Sansa, who they don't really put a lot of effort into crafting a plotline for her. I mean, look at season 7. I could see it. I would be surprised. And I hope that you're wrong, but, yeah, I'm not, I don't trust them for 3 seconds. Okay, Anon said, okay, so I'm sending this on Anon, otherwise I would be crucified, but I really didn't like Wonder Woman. I thought the plot was predictable, the villain didn't hold up, and the dialogue was often forced and ham-fisted. Any semblance of themes was destroyed by the climax of the movie. That being said, I do know success was important to open up the market for women-led superhero movies. I still haven't watched Wonder Woman as of watching this. I know I'm supposed to. I don't really have a reason for why I didn't, other than I just didn't get to the theater for it. I do want to see it because I think a female lens of direction would be interesting for a female-led superhero film. But, overall, it doesn't shock me if Wonder Woman was kind of formulaic. I don't know much about how Ares... how that fits into her arc. I can't really speak to that at all. But it doesn't shock me if it is a little bit flat. And I think you're right in that it still sets a precedent that a female-led superhero film can be exciting. I also think DC is in a different spot than Marvel, where DC just needs to produce a movie that's a fucking movie. That's enjoyable, that holds up on reviewing, even if it's a little boring, even if it's a little predictable. So if their safe bet in terms of script was with Diana as the main character, power to them. I really don't begrudge them a kind of meh movie, because they've only had hot messes up until this point. So... it's fine. I am going to watch it. I'm going to give my opinions. I think I want to watch that before watching Thor Ragnarok. But I've had such superhero burnout, for real. Black Panther kind of excited me to get back into that genre a little bit. And actually, I'm so happy because my sister hasn't seen it yet. And we're finally going together this afternoon, even though I thought it was out of theaters, but it's not. So no breakfast popcorn, but early evening popcorn. And that's fine too. Anonymous said, I should have moved this ask earlier. Who do you think is the best written character? Rey, Kylo, Finn, or Poe? Process of elimination cuts out Poe because he didn't really have much of a character in The Force Awakens. Oh, and I'm only going off of movies. I know that Poe has a really good comics run. I know that Rey, Finn, and Poe had that, what was it called? It was a book, their pre-arcs. I think Greg Rucka wrote it, and it got into Finn as being this really elite and important fighter who was kind of groomed for leadership. Damn it. Yeah, so I know they had that, but I'm not really engaged with that supplemental material so much yet. I want to be. I just haven't had time. But yeah, looking just at the movies, Poe is out. Finn is written... I would say he's written consistently, and I can track his arc and appreciate his arc. I'll actually link, Gretchen wrote a piece about his arc, as well as some missed opportunities and unfortunate implications. And that's the thing with Finn. He's played by a black man. There might not be inverse racism, but we can't separate the fact that, John Boyega is playing Finn we're watching it in the 21st century. It's steeped in arc, dialogue. So there are... unfortunate implications of how they've been scripting him, and ones that I think are a little bit it kind of muddies his arc, and they also cut out scenes apparently that were really paramount to this character's reclamation of agency. So that kind of leaves us with Rey and Kylo, and because Rey was kind of Rey actually had the least arc in Last Jedi of any of them, but it's not a bad arc. She was just kind of I'm genre savvy, I'm going to be in this Luke Skywalker role, and then she realized, oh no, that doesn't make sense anymore, I'm the one who has to define what does make sense, and then that's what she did. I do feel like they have given us more insight into tracking Kylo's motivations and actions. So I think just as a literary character, Kylo is the best written. That doesn't mean I like him the best by a long shot. I don't really have a lot of patience for him. But I do think that's where a ton of the creative effort went. And weirdly, I'm kind of happy that J.J. Abrams gets the reins back with Finn and Rey, because I think he was engaged with those characters a little bit more than Rian Johnson. So yeah, that would be that. Kenzie Tenzi asked, I've been wondering if the fandom response that we got to Sansa and Joffrey would be if they were different genders, if Joff were, say, the only child, the second-born Stark, and the second-born Stark's son was betrothed to her, one a captive in King's Landing, do you think people would care more about the disrespect shown for a Stark boy, or see the resistance narrative framed by the masculine voice? Basically, if the events were the same but gender-flipped, how do you think the response to Sansa's arc would differ from what we see now? If Sansa was a boy, holy shit, everyone would hate him even more. Sanso, I guess. Because people already think that she's a flat and useless character for lacking in conventional masculine traits that are worshipped in this world, right? She's not badass like Arya. This is the whole toxic masculinity of Game of Thrones, and to a degree, A Song of Ice and Fire in the fandom, kind of buys into that whole stock. So if she was a boy that was like this, it would basically be another Sam who is pretty much, like, especially on Westeros.org, hated in the fandom, and then, oh, just, like, suck it up, what's this guy doing? Because I'm assuming it would be a boy who would be trying to, like, play the system. But it's kind of hard to imagine exactly what that would be like gender flipped, because are they, you know, what's their armor of, you know, courtesy that they wear? Are they trying to be in a more knightly role? In which case there might be a little more action required for that to be truly gender flipped. I do think no matter what, Joffrey's abuse, if Joffrey was a girl, would be completely underplayed and completely like, oh, whatever, like, he could have sucked it up. So it's not shocking that Sansa is dunked on, but, like, men who lack in those traits as well don't fare better. not in this fandom. But yeah, that would be interesting. Fuck, I've been talking for 15 minutes already. Okay. So, I guess I have to wrap up. I got through half the asks I intended. Maybe I'll do another one of these, I don't know, next weekend or something. I'll try to do another one of these, and then yeah, I've got that retrospective coming out at the end of the month. Gretchen and I are working on a piece on the Legend of Korra healing arc, which I think is coming out this week. I really need to start on that tonight after Black Panther. There's just never a good day. But I hope you guys have been doing well, and but yeah, that's all I got. It was good talking to you again, no matter how truncated it was. So thank you for putting up with that, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.